And then in 2008, they actually did a research trial. Make sure I get you guys all the right stuff. 2008, they did a research trial on what was actually there. And when they pulled milk off the shelf, they found that less than 1/10 of 1%, less than 1/10 of 1% of any milk had any residue whatsoever. So I think that shows to me that they're using the system very well, and we're testing the heck out of it. What happens to me as a producer, if I have a load that does have antibiotics, they can trace it back to my farm, and I buy the entire semi-load of milk. And the semi-load of milk is worth $10,000. So I don't take that lightly. And so I'm very careful with that. I will tell you that all the cows on our facility, anybody who gets antibiotics goes into a specific pen, and they are totally segregated from anyone else. They're in a special area where the gate is locked, and there's one guy with the key. And their milk goes into a special tank. It doesn't go into the same tanks that I send milk off to market. So all of those things are very important for you to know that the antibiotics, I think, are very important in producing a healthy and quality milk, and also to make sure that those animals have the best of care. The next one, BST, bovine somatotropin. It's important to realize that this is a naturally occurring hormone. Okay? It's not a steroid, and it's a hormone very similar to the hormones that you and I have in our bodies. Estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all of those are very important for body function and cell regulation. The BST is naturally present in a cow's milk, and so there is no composite difference between BST type milk or cows that have been supplemented with BST and any other cow. So if you see a marker in the grocery store that says RBST free, it may mean that they haven't supplemented the cow with BST, but rest assured that it is part of that cow's regular metabolism and has been present in the cow's body, whether it was introduced from a foreign source like us or from the cow herself. And BST has repeatedly been proven safe. And again, 2008, they did another survey, and they looked at retail stores, specifically looking at conventional milk, RBST, and organic milk, looking at what's the components that are in there for the BST. And essentially, they found no composite difference. There was no compositional difference between the three milks. Okay? And no milk in this particular study was found to have antibiotics either. So the bottom line is that BST is safe, and BST is something that was naturally occurring in the cow to begin with. Talk a little bit about farming methods, something else, traditional versus organic milk. Big public interest in organic, because that would mean that it was more naturally produced. I have issues with that. I believe very strongly in our responsibility to feed the world. My husband grew up in South Africa, and in South Africa there is a lot of malnutrition and poverty. And with poverty means that you can't afford to get high quality foods. And if you have the ability to produce a quantity of milk and feed the world, I feel that you have a real responsibility to do that. When you deal with organic milk, most generally, there are issues in how the milk is actually brought to you. The initial difference is how the animals are actually dealt with. So we'll walk on down through here. So in traditional and organic, we do preventative animal care. They can vaccinate their cattle, so can we. Milk is always tested for antibiotics, whether it's theirs, whether it's organic, whether it's ours. The synthetic products, that is the BST, and we are allowed to use that. Organic cannot use BST. But again, I would note that it's compositionally the same. If you test the milk, it's compositionally the same. This is a labeling issue. And there are antibiotics that we're allowed to use for conventional or traditional type milk versus what you can do with organic. And again, I have concerns with that in terms of my responsibility towards the animals in my care. The feed sources for farming methods, in traditional, I can get it from my farm, and I can use things to make sure that it's not overrun by pests. and that it grows healthy and strong. In organic, they are not allowed to use any pesticides or herbicides to destroy the bug population. And again, you're going to hear my prejudice on this one. The issue is, if I were going to go out and feed something wonderful to my children, would I like to have something that the plant spent all of its time sequestering its nutrition in the leaves, or that was spending all of its time trying to survive? And my suspicion is that within a plant that has to fight off other pests, it's spending its time on survival rather than on growth. We can feed no ruminant byproducts, so hoof and mouth and all those things that you've heard. None of that ever makes it into our feed streams for dealing with dairy cows. Milk is tested for pesticides. You can be any size and you can have any housing system, whether you're dealing with organic or whether you're dealing with traditional types of milk. This is talking about science and technology, just to show you the distance that we've come in terms of being able to feed the world. In 1944, we had 25.6 million dairy cows. Take that to 2007, we have 9.2 dairy cows. That's a 69% reduction in the amount of cows that are here. The milk production was 117 billion pounds of milk. Sounds like a lot, but look what we're doing now, 186 billion. More than a 50% increase in milk production at the same time that we lowered the number of cows that are here. This information incidentally comes from USDA and the NAS survey, so we are required to fill out this sort of stuff with USDA and make sure that those numbers are accurate. So that reduced carbon footprint comes from a number of things. One of them is technology, and the technologies that we use include computer systems. They include BST, and they include antibiotics. And here's my demonstration of why I think that technology is so important. All of us are driving more fuel-efficient cars, for example. A 2007 Prius uses a lot less fuel, way less fuel, than let's say a 1995 Impala. Would you agree with that? Way less, okay? And we're all excited about that because that's going to save our environment. We're using less fuel, we have less pollutants that are going out into the environment. It's good all the way around. If you went into Walmart, for example, and you had your grocery cart totally heaped up, now you spent an hour putting all that stuff in there, and you showed up to the checkout counter and the guy whipped out his pencil to tally up how much you actually owe, would you walk out? I would think about it really hard, okay, because it's just going to take you a long time. So we embrace technology in all these places that have made our life better and have made the world work better for us. And I think the same thing is true in what we do in animal agriculture. We're really interested in making the life better for the cows and to be able to meet all the needs that we have so that we have the time, the energy, and all of the proper products to meet the needs that we have. We do also use a lot of genetic selection in how we come up with the dairy cows that actually produce your milk now. The genetics are so much better than what we had in earlier years because we're actually able to follow through what that cow can do in terms of milk production. And we keep very systematic records on all of that. And we're able to choose cows based upon feet and legs, for example. If the cow can't walk to the feed bunk and eat feed, if she can't walk around in the pasture for that matter, that cow isn't going to last long in a herd. And that would be the same for all of us. And so if we can choose the genetics and make sure that that animal is going to live the longest, healthiest life that she possibly can, that also is our responsibility. Artificial insemination came around in 1950s. And what it gave us was the opportunity to use the best quality bulls across the nation because we were using that technology. And it also lowered the incidence of accidents that we had on the dairy farms because Holstein dairy bulls are extremely dangerous and they run people over and they kill people. So it's been very beneficial for us to be able to use genetic selection and use artificial insemination to move us forward. And certainly we do this through better nutrition, both through the knowing what components are there and how we're going to use those components and combine those components to bring them into the dairy itself where the cows feed. And through better crops. And I believe that this is true in terms of the genetic seed stock that we use and how we're actually developing